Alrighty, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Daily Roundup. I hope you guys are having a great trading session, and it's been pretty slow. I'm a little surprised, actually, how slow the market is. Not necessarily surprised. It's just, I was expecting a little bit more of a reversal at this point. But I have to admit, the markets, even though we are consolidating a little bit here, I'm surprised we're not a little weaker at this stage. I'm still looking for a little bit of a pullback in risk by the end of the day, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. I mean, I think while we're above this, here, let me get rid of these lines here. While we're above this 4210 level in the S&P, it seems like the market's pretty content in consolidating these gains. That is obviously a little scary because, if you're sitting here looking at the market thinking, okay, we're going to see a bit of a reversal, we're going to see a little bit of a reversal in risk, we're just not seeing it right now. And we have to be respectful of that. It's important to be respectful of that. Dollar continues to be weak for the most part. One of the biggest rallies is the sterling, and it's holding up well. I'm a little irritated that I took my profits so early. Think about this. When I took the cable off, we're at 141.02, like right here on an hourly chart. The 4-hour was pretty overbought at that point. We're still overbought. We haven't pulled back at all really in relative strength. It's just kind of consolidating. And price is about 40 pips higher, roughly, maybe 30 some odd pips higher than where it was. That's pretty stout, I have to imagine. Being on the short side of the cable is not something that I'd want to do. I want to be on the long side of the sterling right now, but I'm not paying these prices either. That doesn't mean that it can't go higher. I'm just saying I'd rather wait for a pullback here towards the 140.30 level, and I'm willing to give it another shot on the long side. Should we get down there over the next 24, 48 hours? The Aussie, is starting to show a little bit of signs of tiredness after squeezing out all the near-term shorts. Remember, a lot of people are playing into this triple top. They got blasted out on Friday. But we're near the 161% extension of that move there. The dollar Canadian is getting to very dangerous territory. I'm short some Canadian yen, as I've mentioned to you guys. And if you're following along via the patterns in play, you can see here I've got some Canadian yen short because of the 161% extension. But man, I don't like how strong the Canadian currency is. It is very, very strong. But again, if we see a little bit of a reversal in risk, maybe we see crude oil start to show some signs of weakness. Maybe we start to see gold roll over a little bit. Maybe that will allow for a bounce in the dollar Canadian. I think the dollar Mexican peso is holding up pretty well, considering it really has been outperforming even following Friday's move. I mean, it's sold off, but look, we haven't made new lows in trend yet. That's impressive. One of the other things that's kind of impressive right now, and I don't have any Norway exposure right at this moment, but notice how the US dollar Norwegian krona is holding up. This is, or let me take that back. This still could be an inverted head and shoulder pattern. It really could be. And if you guys want to, I'm not willing to take on the risk right now, because me, it's always like, what's my risk reward? If I'm already playing the dollar on the long side against a couple, like let's say the dollar Mexican peso, for example, which I'm long, I don't know if I really want to overextend myself being long more dollars, short, risk currencies at the moment. But if you're not long the dollar Mexican peso and you're like, well, I don't mind taking on a little bit of risk here, then I think if you're only risking below like the lows here at 819, do you know what your risk is? You know, right here. And your reward might be this wedge trend line, or, if things really work out and you get this inverted head and shoulder pattern playing out, like shoulder, shoulder, head, and then it plays out all the way back to 860, 865. I mean, it's not bad risk reward from where we're currently at for a counter trend trade. The important thing is just not overextending yourself if that's something that you want to do. I want to reiterate, I think gold and silver are starting to show a little bit of signs of tiredness up at current levels. You see here silver starting to reverse from the 618, the key 618 retracement, in case you missed that. Okay. And then, obviously gold having a really tough time building on those gains. And notice how we actually hit a brand new high and then reversed. So again, these are things that are suggesting we might see a bit of a turn, but I'm not super convinced as of yet. Lorraine asked about the Aussie. The Aussie, again, I don't necessarily want to be short the Aussie. Personally, it's one of those things like, oh, Amira said 7 missiles landed near to us. We are okay. Wow. Now, Amira's in Israel, just so you guys know. Wow. Hasn't shook any. Did I miss that? Huh. Well, I'm glad you're okay. I'll come back to the IWM. Anyway, going back to what Lorraine was saying, the thing about the Aussie, and this could still be a head and shoulder pattern. This could have just been really, stopped out everybody who was short, trying to play the symmetry. And then I wouldn't be bearish the Aussie until you're back below the triple top level here at the 78.20. I think 78.22 is what the price was. Where is it? 78. You got 78 teens, but anyway, you see what I'm talking about. I don't know if I'd be like super bearish while above that. Okay, let's take a look at IWM for Amira. Still have the triangle. Nothing to do here yet. Okay. Break below 218. That would be bearish. Obviously, a move above 20 or 230 would be resistance. Lorraine asks, is that Amir? No. Amira. Not Amir. Amir is used to be in Maryland, is in Georgia now. Different. Let's take a look at the equity market. So the S&P, you saw it above the 4210, still needs to hold this resistance or previous resistance, current support. Nasdaq showing some signs of weakness. I think, if we get back below these lows, these spike lows, and remember, this is also a breakout point, that's going to be a little nerve-wracking, I think, for Nasdaq traders, because you had this false breakout from a couple weeks back. The Dow still holding up, all-time highs, 231% extension of this last move here. It's pretty massive. And I guess you can say we are above the previous trend line here. Continues to extend, but does it make sense to chase it up here? Not to me. Couple things. So I should show you the Canadian yen, which I'm trying to play on the short side here. because we're at the 161% extension of this move. Very divergent in relative strength. So I think we should turn today. I'm hoping. Euro yen, possible false break. Pound yen, okay, that broke out of the triangle. That still looks strong, but that's the cable against pretty much everything. The Aussie, is this going to be a false break? Keep an eye on it. New Zealand yen, same thing. It's still broken out. And remember, this is a wedge, right? This is one of the charts of the day from last week. I want to say it was like Wednesday or Thursday of last week. If we get some false breakouts here and we reverse by the end of the day, you got to be really, really careful. Gavin says monthly chart of the 6C looks like it's a pretty important level right now. You know, this is the Canadian dollar futures. I would say, yeah, that's pretty important resistance here. And let me check something else, Gavin. High to low. 38% retracement. Maybe the 6C hits a brief new high and then reverses. That would be something. That's possible. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I mean, the Canadian dollar looks pretty strong. I'm short some, but pretty small. Okay. All right, guys. Well, you know, other than that, I think let's keep an eye on risk. If you just be really, really careful right now with, I think with being long risk, we got to be extra careful at this moment, in my opinion. All right, guys. Hey, have a great one. Thank you all for your support. You guys are all awesome, as always. And I'll catch you in the chat rooms or tomorrow morning on the Face webinar. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one. Cheers. See ya. Bye, Paul, Hugo, Alex, everybody else, obviously.